even though this life gets tough, said you gotta keep fighting. And even though it gets hard, it's gonna get hard. You gotta keep striving. But you gotta keep striving. Through the fears and the loss, so the tears won't turn off. No, he hears your heart's cry. Hold on to his words. Lean on him. It gets better by and by.
The toughest war you ever face will be domestic. It's elementary. It's been this way for centuries. Cold War was raised against our seed. Take off them blinders, you will see. That it ain't about them gas prices. It's all about who whip the nicest. All about them deals on bundles. Harold Fleet don't make them up. Face beating red bottoms. Dead beats, we hear about them. Fitted up from head to toe, but never had their children's do. Wonder why they dying by the dozens, but it's simple, yo. Just listen. It's time we stop ignoring facts. It's time we take our family back. Fix the root and then attack. Stop making moves without a plan. Control emotions, then we stand. Calling on my kingdom and to come together. Take this land. We gotta fight, our future depends. Get the head back in order, cause that's where it begins. Invest your all into your garden, water the roots to the end. Nurture the family tree and let the fruit feed all men. Just listen.
Even though this life gets tough, said you gotta keep fighting. And even though it gets hard, you gotta keep striving. Through the fears and the loss, so the tears won't turn off. No, he hears your heart's cry. Hold on to his words. Lean on him. It gets better by and by.
Until my queen.
Welcome to another episode of A Mile in My Shoes, where we ask the question, how can we say we know someone if we've never heard their story? Man, are y'all ready for the night, man? We have a very, very touching story coming from a Miss Jessica Bellard. This one goes out to all the mothers. I need all the mothers to pull up and strap up because we have a very heartfelt story. And without any further ado, I'd like to welcome Miss Jessica Bellard.
Hey,
how are you?
I am wonderful. How about yourself?
Oh, I'm doing well. Look, thank you for coming on. I got a little bit of your story, and I'm excited to hear all about it. So look, like I always say, I got my invisible popcorn. I'm strapped in. And y'all drop some hearts for Miss Jessica as she presents her story. Let's listen.
Okay, so I just want to say thank you for the opportunity. I love the name of the show, by the way. I guess I'll just introduce myself. I am Jessica Ladette Bellard, and I am originally from Louisiana. I'm from Jeanerette.
Jeanerette in the house.
Yes. But now I live in Orlando, Florida. I guess a little bit about me is I am a mother. I'm a widowed mother of 5. I was widowed at the age of 35. And I have an 18-year-old, I have a 13-year-old, a 12, one that's going to be 10 on Sunday, and then my only son, he's 6.
Gotcha.
So 4 girls and a boy. I am a homeschool mom, but other than that, I am a business owner of multiple businesses. I am a 6-time international best-selling author. And I also have an organization that I just recently started here in Orlando for widowed moms.
Wow.
Because one thing that I found out through this journey is that back in the days, we often thought of a widow as maybe, in their 60s, 70s, someone older. We never thought, 20s and 30s.
Right.
And I'm seeing so much more of that these days. As a matter of fact, my niece just lost her husband, and they're only like right at 30. So I'm seeing it a lot more and more. So I started asking questions because through everything that has happened to me, I always wanted to be a server. I wanted to serve the kingdom. So, I began to ask God, through this hurt and this pain, what can I do? Not so much of me wanting to sit and soak in the pain of what losing my spouse caused me, but I wanted to be able to help others. So I asked a lot of questions in my widow groups and things like that. And I started seeing, like I wasn't prepared, which I don't think anybody could per se get prepared. Maybe financially and things like that. You can have some things in place, but prepared mentally, no, I don't think nobody can ever be prepared in that way. So I started an organization here to be able to help women and single mom. Well, I don't even say single moms because we're not a single mom. We're a solo mom. And single because I feel like, when you say single, there's a dad somewhere out there, whether he's active or not active, he's out there somewhere. Yeah. But as a solo mom, there is no dad. Dad is gone. Dad is gone to heaven. There's no dad. So I like to say solo mom and not single mom. So yes, I have a lot on my plate, but like I said, I don't soak in that. I realized that everything that God did, he did it for a purpose. Yeah. And there's purpose to, what's going on in my life now. So I just try to use what I've been through to kind of, talk to other young women that may be going through the same thing. I can remember my niece asking me I think about 2 weeks ago when she lost her husband, she said, "Can I live? Will I live?" And that was the most hurtful thing I had heard since I started my widow journey. Yeah. And I was like, yes, you can live. I said, look at me. I am the definition of living after. After you go through something so tragic, I am the definition. So if you want to know if you can live, yes, I'm the definition. I am the face of living after. So I do thank God that I'm able to be so strong because I'm only I'm 4 years into this journey, which a lot of this journey really just started hitting me recently. But I'll just go back just a little bit. My husband and I, we have been together since, I think we met in 2001. I was just recently graduating. I was 18, started college, was at McNeese attending. I met my husband, he was 20. And we was inseparable from the first time of meeting to the time of his death. Yeah. It was us. So anybody that knows me, knows us, it's different now because now you see me, but you don't, because everybody knew when you see me, you seeing him. Yeah. Yeah. And I say, a lot of what I'm going to say tonight because I really want people to understand, my husband, he was a husband. He was a father. Some people have husbands and fathers and it's just, they do a little bit here, a little bit there. But my husband was a father. He was a provider. He was, anything we needed. As a matter of fact, I got my degree from McNeese and I'm in, healthcare. My husband even told me, you don't have to go to work. I just want you to stay home and raise these children. Yeah. And I did do that for a little bit, and I'm forever grateful that I had that opportunity, that he gave me that opportunity to be able to raise my children, when they were little and not be stuck in the hospital because I was working nights, and that was very hard to leave a baby behind to go work, a 10 to 6 shift at the hospital, then come home and I was exhausted. Yeah. And he would see that and baby would just cry all night long and stuff. So it was like, no, I need you to be home. So when I speak about my husband, I speak about a good man, great father, great provider, great husband. But like I said in the beginning, this journey started for me it's March 2nd, 2019. And I go back just a little bit. I remember I was scrolling through Facebook. It was like December of 2018. And I saw a Facebook friend of mine had lost her husband, and she was sharing pictures, sharing her thoughts behind losing her husband. And I remember laying in a bed, and I was I got so emotional, and I couldn't understand like why this was affecting me so bad, because I had never met this lady's husband. I had never met her. We was just Facebook friends.
Right, right.
Um, and I kept saying, God, why am I getting so emotional about her situation? I know, it's horrible. It's bad. She has two, little kids, and they lost their father. But it was deeper. It was so much deeper, and I couldn't understand, like, why it was so much deeper until 3 months later. I remember, and I was actually living in Atlanta at the time. My husband was there in Atlanta, and I had came home to Generate for a little bit. And I was at home, and I remember like being in bed with one of my babies, and they were tossing and turning all night long. I was tossing and turning all night long. Like, I was real restless, and I couldn't understand like what was taking place, what was going on. So I went on to Facebook, and I was like, let me just look around on Facebook. Maybe I'll fall back to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. It was just something just was like, check your messages, check your other messages, check all these messages. When I did check my messages, I seen it was a message from the Clayton County Police Department. And I was like, this has to be, because my husband was always a jokester. So I was like, maybe he's joking around with me, playing with me, or whatever. So the message said, please call the Clayton County Police Department. They gave me the detective name and everything. So immediately when it said a detective name, I was like, oh, wait a minute, like something is wrong. So I think it was maybe 3 o'clock that morning. And I was like, I can't, there's no way I can wait till 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock. Let me call. So I called, the guy picked up, and that's when I realized, I said, this is not a joke. This is not my husband.
Yeah.
So the police officer, he asked me a couple of questions of who was I? He said, are you married? What is your husband's name? And I said, I gave him all the information. And he said, I said, what is wrong? I said, because you're scaring me, because you're taking your time.
Yeah.
And he said, no, I don't want you to be afraid. I said, are you looking for my husband? He said, no, I'm not looking for your husband. And I was like, what do you need with me at this hour of the morning? He said, where are you at this moment? And I said, well, I'm in Generate. I'm at my mom's house, visiting for a while. What else can I do for you? He said, give me the address to where you are. I said, are you looking for me? Because I had never been in trouble. My husband had never been in trouble.
Right.
Never, we wasn't even trouble people. Like, we were law-abiding citizens. So I was like, I told him, I said, you're making me nervous. I said, but if my husband did something, which I don't think he did, I said, but I will find him and bring him to you. He said, no, ma'am, that's not what this is about. He said, I need to send an officer to you. So in the back of my mind, I'm looking at my kids. They're starting to get ready for church. They're going to church with my mom. So I'm like, so he said, I'm looking for you, but Miss Roxanne is looking for you as well. And that's one of our family friends, an older lady. And I'm thinking, wait a minute, if she's looking for me, something is terribly wrong. So as I'm trying to call, I called her. I'm on the phone with her, and I see the police approaching slowly. Mm-hmm. He's gotten out of the car. He's approaching my mother's door, and my mother immediately goes to the door. She's like, can I help you? She's backing them off of me because she's already fearing that something is wrong. So Miss Roxanne she started crying as I have her on the phone, but the police is coming towards me, and I'm just thinking like, so she tells me that my husband had been hit. And I was just like, hit, okay, do I need to come home? Like, I can catch a flight. I'm on my way. And as soon as the police hit the door, he looks at me, he said, I'm sorry. And I'm, so I'm sitting in the chair, and I'm like, I said, I'm just looking, and my mom's like, thank you, for coming. And I'm like, well, thank God, because I was just like, sitting there shocked. I'm sitting there thinking, dang, man, I'm 35. Like, I ain't, I didn't sign up for to be a widow. I thought, this marriage was forever. You know what I'm saying? We was gonna grow old. We were gonna see our grandkids. We was gonna rock in a rocking chair.
How
You
does your
know,
mind? How
so
does your mind even wrap around that? Somebody bringing that news to you, like
it wasn't. I think I went into power mode. It was protection of my children, protection of myself, because
cool.
only
Man.
only thing I could imagine was how was I going to go in that room and into that bathroom and tell my babies that this had happened. So as my mother immediately screamed, and I think
Cool.
that's what alerted the house. And when I went to go, my aim was I was gonna go tell my oldest daughter first, which my daughter was, I think, 14 at the time. And when I got to her, I told her, and she just pretty much collapsed. And I was like, I'm not even finished, God. I haven't even went to tell the little ones. So I mean, it was, I got everybody told, and of course it was a lot. Is action in the house started moving really, really quick. People started coming, and I don't know. I just think I sat there, and I don't know if my disposition or my actions was enough for some people, because it was like, you're not crying, you're not running, you're not jumping. But for me, it was get into position to do what needs to be done next. I was like, I know I gotta go home. I'm all the way here. I gotta go 9 hours back to Atlanta, and I gotta, I don't, to be honest, when I got ready to take that trip, I don't even know what I put into a bag. It was something. I remember pulling a suitcase through the airport, and I remember thinking to myself, oh God, it's going to all come down on me when this airplane lands in Atlanta. And I was just like, God. So as I'm flying, and I had to fly alone because my mother, she stayed back to take care of the kids. So I was like, oh my God, I'm flying here alone. I don't know what to feel. I don't know what I'm coming into. I gotta identify this body. I gotta, it was crazy to say the least.
Tell me this, like when something like that happens, is it almost like a disconnect from reality straight? Almost, I don't want to call it robot, but like you said, you looking at them children, you like, I don't have time for emotions right now. I got 5 children on the side of me. I have to take care of what needs to be taken care of.
Yes. For me, I think initially the shock was so much to where I was so shocked I could not cry. I had no, to me, it was like action, jump into action. You need to go back to Atlanta. You need to, see, you need to see, because for me in my mind, I was like, I need to see that it's my husband that you got,
Yeah.
Because one of the first things that I did when I got off of the plane, I went to the Clayton County Police Department, and they're giving me, the report they took that night, and the age of my husband was wrong. The race, they had him listed as a Hispanic. And he was a light-skinned man, but he was a black man. So I was like, all of this is wrong. I need you to fix some things, and things like that. So, I kind of went into overdrive mode. It was like, I gotta identify him. I gotta get the funeral planned. I got to see about my babies, because mentally I knew that they was not there. But the whole time, and it was weird because I would say for the first 2 years, if there was moments that I cried, but I don't think that there was ever moments that I grieved.
Yeah.
Because at that point I was flying back and forth, from Atlanta to Louisiana, because I would get to Atlanta with the thoughts and stuff of, doing what I needed to do for him. But after a couple of days, I was like, I need to go see about my babies. So I was going back and forth for a bit. And I can recall like just, meeting people on the airline and stuff. And I was sharing with them, like what had happened. And I never cried. And people would say, oh my God, you're so strong. This just happened and you're not even crying. I don't know if it was the adrenaline of things that needed to be done or what it was, but I just felt like in that moment, it wasn't time for me to cry. I needed to pretty much, like I say, pretty much put my big girl panties on and handle the situation. And for some people, they did not understand that. Like, even to this day, they don't understand. It was like, oh, I've heard so many. If I tell you the dirty things that I've heard about this, is like, you must have had something to do with it because you wasn't crying. And I'm like, do guys, look around. I got 5 babies. I cannot sit here and soak in what has taken place. And my babies, are sitting here watching me. And it was never the fact that I didn't want to cry in front of them. I just knew, it's a lot lost. We lost a great husband. We lost a great dad. We had taken such a great loss till it was just like, I got to find a way to not fill the shoes, but kind of like make it a little bit okay for them.
It's like your stability, like their stability was dependent on you, like standing and not moving. Because they waiting. If I see mom crack, oh, it's over with.
Yeah. And and that's what it's been. And I can honestly tell you that's what it's been for these 4 years. And then I wasn't even, just finding out about his death. That wasn't even the end, because the guy that did do this, he was missing. He was missing. Nobody knew where he was. He left the scene of the accident. He left him out there to die. And it was like, we have your husband, and we're getting ready to send the body to the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, but we have no person. We have a description of the car, but we have no person. So that was a whole nother, something. But I had made my way down to Atlanta, and I was going to take care of everything. And I remember driving down the highway, literally in tears, because I'm by myself at this point. So I'm feeling like, okay, I can have my little breaking moment.
Let a little bit of air out the balloon.
Right. So I had that little breaking moment. But I remember my daughter calling me. Well, I remember I missed the call from the district attorney. Mm-hmm. And I said, well, once I stop the car, I'll call the district attorney back to see what they're saying. So in the midst of that, my daughter calls, and I'm going to take that call. I'm going to take that call because I was like, I'm away from them. And I remember hearing my oldest daughter say, Mom, they got him. And I said, wait. She said, they got the person that killed Dad. Wow. And I said, how do you know that? She said, I see it on a, I guess, she had been watching the news and watching the newspapers and everything. And that's when I like really welled up in tears and was like, oh my God. So I'm asking her, I say, who is he? Do we know him? Like, what's going on? And she was like, no, but he is from the area. So I'm like, okay, so I was like, let me call you back. Let me get to a stop so I can call the district attorney. So the district attorney tells me, it was 4 days later. He was repairing his car. He took his windshield out because my husband went into his windshield. He took the windshield out and he was repairing it. And a neighbor saw him and saw, she remembered the report of the car and, what had happened. And to top it off, it was only about a mile away from where the accident actually happened.
Wow.
So he was repairing the car. The cops made the arrest, took all the evidence, the car, the glass to the GBI and everything. And I was just like, overwhelmed in that moment. I was like, wow. But, that's when the court proceedings started. Getting the formal indictment and that was one of these moments where it was very emotional for me, but I was there by myself. I was there by
Yeah.
myself in court. And I remember sitting with my advocate, because they had given me a victim advocate, and everything. They had done a lot from the city of Jonesboro, done a lot for my family, at that time. And, I remember sitting with my advocate, and they brought him into the room, and I'm just like, I'm just like
Man.
looking at him, and I'm thinking, wow, because the lady behind him described the accident as he went, my husband was walking along the median. He went into the median and came out. So to me, I never felt like it was an accident. I felt like you did
Wow.
this intentionally. Um, so as I'm sitting in court and I'm watching, what's going on with him, and DA takes me out, and he's a hardcore DA. He said, I have enough evidence to get him formally indicted. So you don't need to worry about that today, because he's going to jail, and he's going today. He's going to stay where he is. And I remember, kind of gazing around the courtroom, because I felt in my heart that his family had to be amongst some of these people, but I didn't know who. So, when they did the indictment and his attorney stood up, that's what made me realize who his family was, because the attorney kept going back and forth with the
Yeah.
family.
Yeah.
And I remember that day I had a friend of mine made me a shirt with my husband's face on the front, and everything, because since I've been going through this proceeding, with the court, for me in my mind, I always wanted to make sure you see him, like you see the person that you did this to.
Yeah.
Because I to my, to myself, I felt like I said, he's gonna realize who I am. He's gonna know who I am at some point. And they did ask me to stand. They said, is there anybody here for the defendant? Um, for the victim. And I
Mm-hmm.
stood, and they asked me, who I was and stuff, and I told him who I was, and he looked back at me, and I was just like, my heart was so crushed in the moment. And when I tell you this, it's gonna sound really weird to a lot of people, but I don't know. I don't know what kind of heart God gave me, but I just guess it's one of those good hearts, because I felt sorry for myself and my family, my husband, but I felt sorry for him. I felt sorry for him, and I felt sorry for his children, because what I realized in this is that, I had 5 kids, my husband and I, but he had 7. Young black man. Um, I don't even, I think maybe early 30s. He's in his
Yeah.
early 30s. And 7 children. So I felt like, gosh, man, you ruined the life for my 5 kids. And by you serving time, you ruined the life for your 7 kids. So this is 12 children involved in something that you could have possibly avoided, because like I said, I don't feel like it was an accident.
Mm-hmm.
Because later down the line, I found out, 2 months prior to this happening, he was picking and nagging at my husband, when my husband would go out and about. So I was like, I knew it in my heart that I never, that this was not an accident. Of course, they're trying to trial it like a accident, but I know at the end of the day, God gonna get the glory.
Yes, indeed.
God gonna get the glory in it. But I remember going through court, and I had a great friend of mine that we used to attend church with. Our kids were about the same age. Because that was one thing about, my family. We were always in church, paying our tithes, doing everything. So, I never questioned God about what took place, but I always said, thank God that I knew the Lord the way that I knew him when this happened, because
Right.
I probably would have been in 1,000 pieces, scattered somewhere, because it's hard. It was hard. It still is hard. And then being able to process all that. But I remember, the family had asked for a bond and everything early on. And I remember, my advocate saying, Miss Bellard, just bear with me. Don't make no actions. Don't nothing. But I remember when the judge said a bond, you left the scene. You know, he was like,
I'm listening. I'm listening to you.
Yeah, he said, I refuse to grant you a bond, sir. And I mean, I remember saying, you know, raising my hand, and I'm like, thank you, God, because that was the one thing that I did not want. Well, I never wanted it to happen at all. Yeah. But I do, you know, I do understand that, you know, even though he was a defendant, you know, he had rights as well. So I remember walking out, and I really wanted his family to see. I wanted them to see my husband's face that was on the picture. So I remember coming out into the hallway, and I heard his grandparents talking to the attorney. Yeah. So I kind of stood, you know, I didn't stare at him or anything. I just kind of stood because I want to know what you're saying. So I hear grandmother saying, I just want my grandson home. My grandson said he did not do this. And so the attorney, he said, yeah, I'm with you on that. I don't think your grandson did it, and I'm going to bring your grandson home. You know, and that kind of, it took my breath away. So I was like, let me walk off, because this is not, because I know I'm going to say something. Yeah. You know, like, because you all, you know, they were out in the hall, they were laughing. You know, and I'm like, you're laughing. You know? So I said, let me just go. So I went outside, and I literally stood with my, you know, facing the courthouse, because I knew they were going to come out. Mm-hmm. And just like I thought, Grandma and Grandpa came out. She looked, she said, "Ooh, that's a nice looking guy on your shirt. What happened to him? He looks young." Whew, when I tell you, that took everything out of me. Wow. I wanted her to see it, but when she said that, it took everything out of me. So I told her, I said, you know, I said, "Are you Mr. Harvey's mom?" And she immediately got upstirred. She said, "What do you mean?" You know, I said, "No." I said, "I'm asking you, are you his mom or are you his grandparent?" Right. "I'm his grandmother." I said, "Well," I said, "the guy that's on the front of this shirt," I said, "is who your grandson hit." Mm. She said, "No, ma'am. My grandson said he did not do anything." I said, "Okay, ma'am." I said, I'm not here for a confrontation or anything." I said, "You know, we just left the court. You saw the indictment. You heard everything that was presented." I said, "So I'm going to let God be God and do what he's going to do regarding the situation." Her husband looked up. He never was real nasty about anything, but then even her, she began to cry. And she said, "I'm so sorry. I'm sorry." But she said, "I'm sorry, but my grandson said he did not do it." And I said, "You know, ma'am," I said, we'll let God be the judge of that. You know, I said, it's not against you guys. You know what I'm saying? It's not against y'all. I said, but we'll let God handle that." And then she said, yeah, because our lawyer informed us that your husband had a daughter." I said, "Ma'am," I said, "my husband has 4 daughters and a son." I said, "As a matter of fact, we just had a son. He's 2. And she began to, to weep outside. She was crying. And she was like, "Can I please just hug you?" And the granddad said the same thing. That he said, "Can I please just hug you?" And I remember going home and telling my family and friends that I did hug them. You know, I embraced them. And they was like, "What is wrong with you?" You know, and I'm like, I said, I don't have a heart. I didn't have a heart to walk away from her and say, "No, you can't, I can't hug you, or you can't get a hug from me," because I felt like in that moment, I felt like they had absolutely nothing to do with what had taken place. So, I did, I hugged them, and I remember her crying all the way, to her car. And I remember, sitting in my car, because every time I would come out of court, I'll sit in my car and I'm just like, "God, please, like, I need some strength to get through the rest of this day." And I remember one of my friends had told me, she said, She told me a lot of things, but she told me, ask God for strength for that day and let tomorrow worry about itself. And I remembered that, and I kept saying, God, strength for today. Tomorrow will take care of itself. Um, but every time I would come out of court, I had this friend that would call, and she would, uh, kind of talk me through. Jessica, are you okay? Let me pray with you. I want to know that you feel better by the time I finish praying before you get back on the road. So she would pray and pray and pray, and I remember, I told her, I said, every time you do this for me, it's like it gives me that extra ounce of strength to keep pressing. And she said, you know what? That's what I wanted for you. She said, but I want you to understand that this was not in vain. You did not lose your husband in vain. You lost there's a purpose in this.
Yeah.
And my friend was, she was real business minded. So she said, I believe it's something God wants you to start or something that he wants you to do to help the kingdom regarding this situation. And I remember saying, yeah, but I'm kind of struggling in my mind right now. Although, I'm a businesswoman as well, been a businesswoman, even before my husband passed away. But I just could not find the strength to do anything regarding widows, grief, death, nothing at the moment because I felt like I was dealing with me. And I remember, my friend saying, why don't you come and stay with me for a little while? She lived in Lake Charles. And I was like, no, I think I'm gonna go back to Georgia. And she said, she begged me on the phone call, and she was, told me about her husband. They were having some marital issues and stuff, and she wanted me to come. She even told me that, she was having dreams that her husband would die. And I told her, I was telling her, I said, pray about those dreams because that's not a good feeling. I'm like, even though y'all having issues, I'm sure y'all have had good times. And losing him would definitely take you to a place that you might not want to be. I said, I'm telling you from what I know, not what I read, but what I know. And I remember ending the call with her, and she said that she had gone to a book signing, and it was about a mother and some grief. And she said, but I don't think the book was for me. I think the book was for you. She said, so when you get back to Louisiana, I'm going to come visit, have lunch, and I'm going to give you the book.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, or whatever. And I went home, got on mom's couch, was sleeping. And I remember my mom calling out to me, and she said, something happened in Lake Charles. A man just killed his wife. And she said, she told me the name, and I went to the TV and I said, that's my friend. They showed her as a soldier because she had been a soldier. They showed her a picture, and I was like, man, I said, she was seeing her own death and not his. Wow. And I think, and this was, my husband died March 2nd. My best friend, she died May 1st. And I remember thinking, okay, God, that was the day that I remember throwing in the towel. And I was like, okay, I don't know what you're trying to teach me in this, God. But I'm like, I'm taking hits like Layla. I'm like, I'm getting knocked out over here or whatever. And I was just, like, God, that was my prayer partner. That was the person that was praying me through my situation, my court dates, giving me encouraging words, giving me affirmations, just everything for me. And now she's gone, and I was just like, I think that's when I really had the meltdown and cried and everything. Cause I was like, God, like, I'm not a bad person. What is it, what is it that you're trying to teach me through this? Yeah. And I remember, asking God, and then I remember calling back on one of my other friends. And she was a business owner. She had also done some business coaching, coached me in some businesses and things. And I knew she was like an avid traveler. So she was like, Jessica, I just want to send you and the kids on vacation, like on me. And I remember saying, God, I love to travel, but right now my mind is just not wrapped around the travels and stuff. And, she talked to me and kept providing me with affirmations, kept trying to send me. She really was trying to send me on a 365-day trip, like get in the RV and just go with the kids and homeschool them on the road. But I had a little bit of fear at that point because I was like, I'm a woman on the road, 5
Yeah.
kids,
Yeah.
you know. And then I happened to be looking on Facebook and it said, rest in peace to her. And I was like, God, you know, you took my mentor, my coach, my husband, my friend. Like, you know, it was like all three at one time. And I was just like, done. You know, I was like, I'm done. I'm done, you know. And I was telling some of the ladies from, you know, that was in being mentored by her with me. I said, for some reason, I keep seeing her like she's running in a race and she's passing the torch. That was very significant to me because I felt like it was like, I need you to run on. And that was that moment where I was like, you know what? All is not lost. There is a purpose in everything that God is doing in that season, you know, that he was doing in that season. And I was just like, you know, there is a, you know, I constantly, and I still to this day tell myself, there is purpose in my pain.
I need y'all to type that. There's purpose in my pain, man.
Yeah, there is. And I, you know, over these 4 years, I have definitely realized that this wasn't for me. This wasn't for me. This was not about me. This was for kingdom business. This was for me to step out and do some of the things that I have done. You know, because as I was in my widows group, I kept hearing people saying, you know, I just been in my house for a whole year. I don't want to do nothing. I don't want to, you know, and I was thinking to myself, you know, I don't think I have that ability to not do nothing. You know, when I wake up in the morning and I see them 5, you know, little kids looking at me, what I'm going to eat, what I'm going to do, you know, and things
Gotta
like
move.
that. So I was just like, there's no way I can soak and sit in this pain. You know, so you know, I started to get the kids back moving and rolling. And, you know, I just knew, you know, to me, I just kept saying, what would my husband want me to do? You know, and one of those things is he was crazy about those kids. You know, we had been praying to God for a long time for a son. And I was just like, you know, even in that, I was like, God, you know, we went through having 4 daughters, which, you know, he loved without a shadow of a doubt.
I can imagine that.
Ooh. Yeah, and I did too, you know, and I do too. But, you know, when he got that son, that was just like, that's my junior. My name can, you know, keep on, you know, keep living. And I mean, when I say he was so excited, and I think I was so excited, you know, he was like, you know, you have to allow me to name my son. And he named him Nathan Isaiah. And he was like, Nathan was a prophet. Isaiah was a prophet. My son is going to be a prophet. You know, he began to speak a lot of things over his son. Even in the womb, he was speaking things over him. But I remember saying, God, you gave him 2 years, like 2 little years with his son. I mean, and he had so much planned. Like he wanted him to be a boxer, and, you know, he wanted to take him to the boxing ring with him. And it was just so much. And I kept saying, God, like, you know, not really why did this happen, but I was just like, wow, you know, God, like he didn't even get a chance to do any of those things. But now I realize why God blessed me with a son. Because now my son is just like his father. The love that his father showed to me is the love that he gives to me now. And it's like in those moments, he's always the one that said, Mom, you're okay. Everything's okay. I love you. So he reassures everything about this, you know, life. And he is a boy. He's a man. He's a boy. You know, so he gives, you know, he tries to show the love to me that I feel like that his father would have been given. And he does that with his sisters as well. So I'm like, okay, God, you know, I thank you for blessing me with him so that, you know, his father can really live on through him and stuff. But you know, it was just like, God, you know, we was just getting started with him. He was just starting to walk good and everything. And it was just like, nope, you know, So now, I try to, of course, keep the memories alive and, keep him knowing his father because he was, he was so young.
Yeah.
And that's the hard thing, that's the hard thing in it. And like I was telling someone last week, my 11-year-old, she never cried in none of this. And she was always the one that was telling everybody it was okay, and at the time she was only 7. She said it was okay. Everything's gonna be all right. We're gonna be okay. Dad's okay. And now 4 years later, it's just starting to set in, and she's waking up saying, "I want my dad," screaming. And when I try to tell, parents, that's a hard thing because as a parent, we want to give our children everything. We don't want them hurting for nothing. We want them to have, everything that we could possibly give to them. And when you can't take that pain away,
that's undescribable, right?
That's a whole nother. Because when I tell you, I might wake up and I'm in the best of spirits, but when one of those kids come and say, "I want my daddy," or "It's not a good day," it takes me all the way down, through there. So when I post and stuff, on social media, like I do affirmations and things like that, try to encourage people. But I tell people all the time, I'm encouraging me. I'm encouraging y'all, but I'm encouraging me. And I gotta do this to keep going and to keep moving. But like I say, I just tried to turn this, what was such a tragic event and painful for me and my family, into something that I know that my husband would be proud of. I knew that he would not be proud of me soaking in the pain, soaking in the hurt. And even, my husband was such a good man. Right now, I feel like if he could even come back, he would probably say, "Let the guy free," because that's just the type of person that he was. Loving, caring. He never wanted to see anybody hurt. He would literally give the shirt off of his back, to the next person. So I know he probably would say, "He got kids. Let him go home."
I'm literally like looking at you and truly listening to the story. I just can't. I'm hearing you say it, but I just can't even imagine what it takes to even. It's like I'm listening to it as a parent, and I'm like, "It's no way this woman real." Like,
it's oh my God, when I tell you, like, it has been so many things, and I'll even tell you this: we're not even finished. We're still in court. So I believe, well, tentatively, we are supposed to be in trial next week. But of course, there's two older cases before this case, so it may push us back a little bit. And that has been I think the most frustrating thing, because when you are trying to heal, but they'll go months without court, and then there's a court date. So it's like it rips the bandage off of a sore again. So even though you're trying to heal, when they put you back in court, it's like you're talking about this again. You're ripping the bandage back off. And I think, right now I'm kind of at the place where I hope they will take the plea deal and we can be done, because it's going to be very, very hard. Very, very hard to go. Because I just talked to my district attorney again, and he said that he really doesn't want to put the family through all the details and the gruesome things of this accident. So it's kind of like, everybody's kind of praying that attorney just takes the plea and we can move on. But I was supposed to get some information if they did that, and I haven't gotten it. So I'm thinking we're probably going to trial. But, and then that's another bout of strength that I'm praying for, because that's a whole nother, ballpark that I got to go sit and hear what you did. And hear, because they already had started saying about, the blood was on the car, so I got to go through the gruesome details. And then not only that, So, I had the hugs and stuff with the grandparents. And then when they came up for bond reduction again, mom ran behind me in the courtroom and wanted me to hug her. So I'm standing outside hugging her. And she's just, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And that's all she could possibly say to me. But I'm like, I can't just like turn my back because you are trying to embrace me. I realized that it wasn't you that did this, but for him, there has never been any remorse. There have never been, I'm sorry for what this has caused your family. As a matter of fact, it's arrogance. It's arrogance. Every time he sees me in the courtroom, now, of course, it's 4 years later, so he has gotten his bond reduced down to where he bonded out for the time. And he will literally try to sit behind me, directly behind me in the courtroom. And then leaving out, he's blowing his horn. I mean, it's a whole lot of harassment.
Wow.
And it's more like the arrogance is like, I did something to his family. And I'm like, you did something to my family. I probably would have a little bit more feeling of letting you not go, but being a little bit more laxed on what I want to happen if you showed remorse. But there is no remorse. So I'm just like,
Right.
So that takes a whole nother level of strength as well. Like, I tell anybody, like, this is what made me realize how strong I really am. This is what really made me realize that and I've been, born and raised in church, born and raised knowing God. My cousins are all preachers, and I'm just like, I believe in God and I trusted God, all my life. But I have never trusted God like I trust God today because, I know him as, some different things. Now I'm like, I know you as a protector, a provider, a mind regulator, because I'm like, people don't even realize what this has done mentally and
Right.
how much strength it takes to just get through a day mentally, not physically or anything. And I mean, even when I say the physical effects, man, let me tell you, like, I was a diabetic before this happened, but I never realized that you could be grieving and going through so much that it would have a physical effect on your body.
Mm-hmm.
When I say I think, man, I went through heart monitors. I had everything on me. Like, it was crazy physically, but mentally, it's kind of like I gotta wake up every morning and put on the whole armor, like like they say, like the words. I gotta physically put on the whole armor because I never know what the day is gonna hold. I can be okay, I cannot be okay. I could be doing fine, and then one of the kids come and they're not doing fine. So it's kind of like, whoo,
You know what listening to your story did for me? Like, it gave a real life, what word can I use? Reality check on how we don't appreciate.
Let me tell you, if I could tell you anything, your loved ones, your spouse, if I could tell you anything, I would definitely tell you to enjoy the time. Also, take lots and lots and lots of pictures, lots and lots and lots of videos, because that's one thing that I found, and I thought I was a picture taker, but, when I'm wanting to post stuff, now I'm realizing that I don't have a lot of pictures of you. I don't have a lot of pictures of us. I don't, so I find myself posting the same things over and over. And then, sometimes you just want to hear that person's voice. I think, and this was because my daughter was doing a lot of looking, because we used to speak a lot. We used to travel and we used to speak on a lot of stages, and things. And there was one lady that had recorded. And my husband was a speaker that day, and that's how we can still hear the voice. Because my daughter pulled up the content. And I was just like, thank God for that day, because I have nothing of his voice.
Now you do know, side note, that there's programs that's AI you can load his vocals into, and it recreates everything.
Oh wow. Okay, yeah, I need that. Because I was just, that's why I started telling people, I'm like, lots of pictures, lots of
Yeah.
videos, because it's going to come, a point where you just want to hear their voice or you just want to see their picture. And for a while, to be real raw and authentic, for a while, I didn't want to hear the voice. I did not want to see the picture because I was just like, every time I hear the voice or see the picture, it's breaking me down. But now, as time is kind of progressing, it's like I'm forgetting your voice. So I want to hear your voice. That's why I'm like, record it.
Appreciation, man. Ooh, I'm
Yeah.
telling you,
So
this is a real life reality check, man.
yes. And
This
when
this
I
this
said,
is gonna this is gonna be a real life reality check for all of us. I'm not joking. I'm talking
yeah,
about we just believe that we just know tomorrow is gonna be here.
yeah. But I tell you one other thing about this whole situation. The passing of my husband made me realize that we were so connected that I lost Jessica because it was a us. It became a us, a we. It's us. So it became what we like to do, what we like to eat, what we want to go, where we want to go. So I lost me, and I realized that because now it's like, oh, whoa, I love avocado. Oh my god, I love just sitting by the beach for hours. This is just Jessica. This is not us. This is Jessica. So that was a reality check for me that, when we get into our marriages, we become so one. And yes, we are supposed to become one, but we become so one that we forget who we are as an individual. So, I really learned that in this process. So I really even try to tell, married couples now, like, always take time for just you. Even though you take time for the wife, the husband, the family, take time for you, for something that you love to do. You go do what you love to do and leave the wife at home, or leave the husband at home sometime, just so you don't, so that you don't lose you,
Mm-hmm.
because death is inevitable. It's coming.
Yeah.
We don't know when, we don't know how, but it's coming. And like I said, I wasn't, I don't even think there would have been a way for me to even prepare if the Lord himself would have even said this is going to be the day and the time and the hour. So I don't even think, I can, I can't even tell you, don't nobody how to prepare. But what I've learned through this is I can't tell you what it felt like and what I
Yeah.
went through to, try to help you avoid some of the things, because some of the things that was said in my widows group is that, some of these women, their husbands was paying the bills and taking care of things. So they didn't even know how to like start with their bills. Um,
Survive.
and then that income coming out. The husband is usually the breadwinner, he's the provider. So losing that income, I saw, a lot of women lose houses, lose cars, and everything. And finance was my first business. So, what I said to myself, I said, I can't tell you how to prepare your heart and your mind for losing your spouse, but I can help you prepare your finances as if it was just you. And
Yeah.
I like to tell people, think about your finances and the way that you're living, like just you, even though you might have a spouse, but ask yourself some questions like, if my spouse was to pass away, can I still maintain this lifestyle by myself?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's one of the things that I find very hard for a mother when she loses her spouse, to maintain that house the way dad had, the trips they were taking, the foods that they ate, things like that, because it's already a major change for the children. Dad's not there. But why are you gonna change? Now you gotta change your house because you can't afford it, because that was a winner, breadwinner, affording everything. So I'm like, women, as much as some of our guys will tell us, they got us, don't worry about it. But what if something happens? Everybody thinks about divorce and things like that, but nobody thinks about losing a spouse, especially the young people. You know what I'm saying? 20 something, 30 something, 40, even early 40. You're not thinking about your spouse will pass away.
I'm hearing, do you have your life insurance policy set
Yes.
up? And that's stuff that we just,
Yes.
a lot of us don't think about as a culture.
Right.
We don't think about it. So
right.
that's some serious questions to ask.
Right. So, I throw those questions out because, I'm like, I want people to really think about these things because you have just lost a major part of your life. You don't want to have to change your lifestyle.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are living check to check. And, what happens when that check is cut and that rent still or that mortgage still needs to be paid or that car note still needs to be paid? You have no way. There's no way.
She's dropping some major nuggets right now, y'all.
And I ponder because I've been in the finance industry over 18 years. I've been running my financial firm, but medicine is where my education is. So, I want to go back to helping, in the hospitals, and I have my wellness center now. So I'm, doing a lot of work in healthcare now, but I was like, every time I try to put that financial piece down, God is like, no, ma'am, no, ma'am, you got some work to do.
So do you provide the classes or the mentorship or the services as far as finances?
I do. I have this last year, I have been taking a lot more time with widows and people, because there's some people in our widows group that, have husbands or wives that's on hospice. So they have not passed away yet, but it's imminent. It's coming. So I'm just like, okay, you might have a little bit of time to kind of, get some things together, get your little, financial house in order. So I've been doing a lot of work because I've been really feeling led. I'm led a lot more to women, because I just feel like, I don't know, that's where God has my heart.
That's a major area that goes undone.
Right.
Because being honest, statistic is usually us that go first. It's usually the men that go first. So that's a major area to focus on. Yeah. So I got a question for the ladies or for young men that may be dealing with this situation. If you had to sit in front of an individual right now that's going through the loss of a spouse, what would you give?
I'm definitely a God girl, so I would definitely say place your hand in God's hand. Trust him. Because one of the things that I did as a widow, I went to the Bible to see what God said about widows. And in there, God says he's a defender of widows. And I think that little piece of the scripture is what's giving me the comfort going through this court case, because, I keep saying to myself, God's word has never returned void.
That's the word.
And he said that he's a defender of widows. So he's gonna fight this battle. I don't need to fight this. And when I got that in my mind, that this, because when I say, God is truly a mind regulator, he is, because when I tell you, I and this is just me, my transparent moment. I thought, I remember sitting in a church parking lot screaming because I was like, I need a place where I can scream, where it's not gonna like alert nobody. So I remember thinking, hey, church is not in session on this day, so I went to the parking lot and I screamed. I just had my moment of release, just said everything that I needed to say to get it out of my head and everything. And then it came to me plain as day. It said, God is a provider. He's a way maker. He is the defender of a widow, of widows. And I'm just like, Jessica, get yourself together, because this is not your battle. This is not your battle. This is the Lord's battle.
Personally.
So I was just like, get it out. I get it out. And I've had several moments where it's just like, I just need to go to a parking lot somewhere. I just want to scream. I just gotta let it get off of me, because I'm like, my mind is thinking like, what's next to do? What is this doing to my kids? Like, and then as my oldest daughter got old, was getting older, I was like, my daughter's about to graduate. She's gonna want her father, like, but then I realized, I was like, God is a good God in the midst of the storm, in the midst of everything that you could ever go through in life. And I remember saying to myself as I was sitting there, I'm like, Jessica, your daughter is now the oldest, the oldest of the kids. She's gonna be 19 next month. And it's like, you homeschooled her even when, even in the midst of all of this taking place in your life. She's a 4.0 student, MDJD. She's going to school to be a lawyer and a doctor. So it's like, it's just the little things like that that reminds me that God is still faithful. And God is still good. So it's just, I started realizing, take the little bitty things in life, the things that most people just take for granted. I'm just like, the air that we breathe, I'm like, people take it for granted. And now, I walk outside and I'm like, thank God for his goodness. Just this fresh air blowing up on me this morning. I could have been dead sleeping in my grave. Because
it's a real reality check. I'm telling you, your story is making time stop right now and be like, hey.
Because I went through, would it even be better if I just be gone too? So I've never been a suicidal person, and I'm not really a suicidal person, but I did have that thought in my mind, like, God, this is too much. Like, this is too rough. I'm left here. Because I went through those stages of grief, like from the shock to the angry to the, because I even said, what do you, so you thought it was fun. You thought it was fun for to just leave me here to take care of 5 kids. You got, you gave me all these kids and then you just left me here. But now, I realize now I'm like, no, God gave me all these kids because he knew what was going to take place, because it was already written in the book of life. And he knew that I was going to need to be showered in love, and when I say they shower me, they shower me. When I say that oldest one will sing me straight up out of depression, up out of everything, because it's like, sometimes I just tell her, come here and sing, just sing, and she, because she's been music, instruments, vocal. So I'm like, just sing me. And I even had one of my apostles, he said, that baby is going to sing you straight through everything you're going to go through dealing with this. And that, it was early on and everything. And I was just looking at him like, what you mean? But now I understand, because I'm just like, sing, just sing to me.
Yeah.
Let me get my mind right. And she'll sing, she'll sing. Now, sometimes she's like, Mama, really? You want me to sing again? And I'm like, just sing.
Them children are a strength, man. Hey, them children. That's
where most of my strength comes from, and I'm thankful and grateful to God to like good sister. And I call a lot. I got several people I call my sister, and they're not my biologicals, but when I say just calling to make sure that I'm okay, sending things for the kids, I prayed for you last night. And I'm like, people just don't realize how much I'm just checking on you mean to somebody.
Come on, man.
So, like, I'm just like, God. But I tell you, even in the midst of all of this, and it was so crazy, because even at my husband's service, I had so many people stand up and say, I'm not going to be like everybody else. I'm going to always be there for you and the kids. And I have not seen none of them. I have not seen none of those people. Like, I have not gotten a how you doing from none of those people. And I tell you this, I lost a lot of people along the way, because people wasn't understanding that if I didn't answer my phone, I needed my time.
Yeah.
So a lot of people went away. And at first I was like, God, what's going on? You don't understand what I'm going through, what I've been through. And then I realized, like, some people are only for a season. They're not meant to be here always. If they cannot understand what I'm going through, it's okay. Let them go.
Yes.
And I begin to pray, God, only bring me genuine people into my life, into my kids' life. And now, the people that's in my life, I look at them and I'm just like, I feel so at peace with you. So I know that this was nobody but God that put you in my life. So I'm thankful for you. And I have one of my good friends, she's a widow as well. And she was widowed before I was. And I'm like, Lord, she doesn't even know, like when she just call and say, sis, you good? You know what I'm saying? How much that does to me and does to my heart. Like,
the stuff that we take for granted, man.
Yes, the little things,
Jeez, man.
The people saying I love you, or and it ain't even so much the monetary, because I'm sure, there's people that's here tonight or that's gonna listen that say, 5 kids. I know the financial, burden that's on her. It ain't even so much as somebody doing something financially for me more, than it is like just say, I thought about you today. You know what I'm saying? Or is it, just the simple, I love you. I just want you to know that I love you. I love the kids. Just something that simple that, can make or break, that can really make my day. Because I might have because I'm not one to really like sit there and you wouldn't even know, like, oh, she's dealing with something. Because I'm always going to be happy, upbeat, and whatever. But I'm just like, for somebody to just, I thought about you. I was like, whoa. Thank you.
And I'm also hearing when you talking, like, as a people, we gotta slow down.
Yes.
Because everything that you saying just about the stuff that you value now, the stuff that means a lot, we gotta slow down.
Yeah.
It's almost like the world we live in now. It takes all that stuff away. It takes because everything is fast. Go, phone, this, that. The importance of it. Are you all right? Like looking at somebody's eyes and be like, you all right? Sure you all right.
And I can't tell you, because one of the things that I learned through this is, when people are going through things and you're saying, the common thing, is there anything I can do for you? Is it anything I can get? When people going through things, they don't really know what you could do, or, that their mind is not even there. But for the people that has been in my life that just did, they just did. They didn't ask no questions. They didn't, they just did. I really appreciate those people because, when people was asking me, what can I do? I don't know. I don't even know who I am right now. I don't even know where I'm at. I don't know what's going on, but I did realize and recognize all the things that was being done, even in the midst of me, dealing. So, that's why I always say I'm grateful for those people because it was people, that provided meals, that just did stuff like they didn't ask. It was just like, well, those kids still got to eat. She still got to eat. I was coming back and forth. And when I tell you, like, it has been so many people that has been so instrumental to me, even in my coming back and forth. It was like, meet me over here because you need to eat. I know you didn't eat because you're dealing with so much.
Yeah.
So, and I got one of those friends. I still got her and I love her to death. And when I tell you she was my Facebook friend, but we did not know each other. And she said, where are you? I said, I'm in Conyers. She said, I'm in Conyers too. Come meet me. And and she fixed a feast at her house and told me to just eat. And I remember walking in and I said, are some more people going to join us? Because this is a lot of food. She said, no, this is for you. And I was like, man, and I tell you, when I still have her as a friend to this day. And I love her with everything inside of me because she didn't even know me. She just said, I saw your story on Facebook. And I wanted to be, instrumental to you. And that was different, because like you said, the world is moving so fast. People are not taking time to say, I just want to be instrumental to you. And I was just like, man, I'm forever. When I say forever grateful for some of the friends that I got, in these last 4 years, and that just has been there and standing in the gap, the prayers, the everything, it's, I don't even have a word for it. I'm just like, God, thank you for seeing me. Thank you for, keeping me in your favor. Like, You know, I think I'm just like every single day. I'm like, God, I thank you. I just, it's so much that I can, thank you and be grateful for. But I'm just like, God, I know you understand my heart. I don't even have to say it in words. So,
Mm-hmm. Look,
yeah,
Miss Jessica, I I just want to say thank you for your story.
you are so welcome.
Like, I'm pretty sure that everybody that's on this live and everybody that will see this live really gonna have to take some time, and all of us are gonna reevaluate some things in our life.
Yes, and you know what? I pray that that's what happened. Before I even came on this line, I was like, God, use me in the way that you need to use me tonight. And I just pray that, if it's anything that they would take that, like to slow down and just, be grateful for, more things in life and realize that, that people are not promised to you. Your kids are not promised to you. Your spouses are not promised to you. And love them a little bit harder because of that fact. Like I like to say, you don't know, we don't know the day, the time, nor the hour. It could be the next hour. And then here you are with regrets, like, I was so nasty to that person. Now that person is gone. I can't even tell them, I apologize for the things that I did to them. Or
Mm-hmm.
you're like, God, if I just had one more moment to just hold my person a little bit longer. So it's like, I really wanted people to take that from this is, hold your person, hold your child, hold your friend just a little while longer and say, and let them know how much you love them. Because once it's over, it's over. You can't tell nobody how much you love them once, you're looking at them in a casket. You can't say I love. I mean, you can say I love you, but you
Mm.
know they don't know. They don't know. And
Y'all, y'all drop some hearts right now if you was touched by this story. Oh, where my sister went.
oh, blew my phone.
There you go. Y'all,
Yeah.
y'all
So
drop them hearts right now if this testimony story has froze you in your seat like it has frozen me. Like, yeah, this is. I'll just say this: you think that you're only blessing the widows?
yeah.
No, you blessing all of us. All
Yes.
of us.
And that's my prayer. I'm like, it's never, I never want this or any part of my story, my testimony to ever be about me. I'm like, this is not about me. This is about the kingdom, about, being able to import some wisdom and some knowledge into the kingdom, and maybe give people a different thought process. Like, hey, I need to slow down in my day. I better go grab my wife and hug her. I better go grab my husband, and hug
Mm-hmm.
him because, like I said, I never 35 years old, you know. If somebody would have told me that, I would have said no, not at 35.
35.
I was like, I'm 35. I'm like, we ain't even got to the brink of living life. So I'm just like, but like, and this might sound weird to some too, but I always say, I do thank God for the years that
Mm-hmm.
He did grant me, grant us the ability to be together, to have our kids, to travel because we traveled the world together. We
Mm-hmm.
spoke on stages together. It was a lot of things that we did together. So, I'm like, in that, I still have to be grateful. I have to be grateful because, some people, when I look in that group, some people didn't get the amount of years I got. Some people said we had just got married 6 months ago, or we had just got married 3 years ago. But that wasn't my story. And, that's why I thank God because I can say, you gave me from 2001 of meeting him till 2019. You gave me almost 18 years. So, and five beautiful kids. So, when I look up on their face, it's his face. You know what I'm saying? It's him. So I'm able to, because, when I look at the kids, it's a part of him in all of them.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm just like, thank God for that. So I was like, people say 5 kids, 5 kids, but I'm grateful for that now because I'm like, I can look up on 5 different faces and see 5 different things, which makes me feel good in a day's time when I'm looking at those babies.
Mm.
And then when I'm looking at, because that first show I was like, how I'm supposed to do this? How I'm supposed to do this right here with all these kids. But now I look back and I'm like, I got that one to graduate. She's a 4.0 student doing well. All of the kids are doing well, and with school and everything. And got some that's going to graduate a little bit earlier than normal and everything. So I'm like, to God be the glory. I'm like, thank you for the strength. Thank you for everything. And people always look at me and say, you strong. And I'm like, it's by God's grace. Had I not known him, I don't think I would have been able to withstand the beginning of this. Like, even whatever. But I'm like, I thank God that I know him and I'm able to accept, what has taken place, and that I'm able to just say, God, thank you. Thank you for the years. I remember saying that in 2014, when I was watching my dad be taken off of the ventilator. Because my dad was in a car crash, and he passed away in 2014. And I remember my head being down, and I remember saying, I don't want to be selfish. I thank you, God, for because I was 30 at the time. I was like, I thank you for the 30 years that you gave me, my father. And I remember the priest coming into the room and saying, why do you keep saying that? He said, your head is on the bed saying, I don't want to be selfish. God, thank you for the 30 years. I said, because I just want God to know that I'm grateful for the years that you allowed this person to be in my life. And I think that, because I was trying to, impart that in my niece 2 weeks ago. I was like, thank God for the time that he gave you with your husband. She, it's gonna take her a minute because it's new and it's fresh to her. But that's even my prayer for her, that one day she will say, I'm just thankful for the years. And that's a hard thing. But when you get to that point, you'll start looking at it a whole lot different. So now it's me turning my pain into purpose. Purpose for those around me now. So
we thank you. Look, once again, y'all, please drop some hearts for this young lady and her testimony. If you was touched, drop your comments and let her know. Tell them one more time, how can they find you if they know anybody that is a widow? How can they get in contact as far as your program? Let us know one more time.
Okay, so I am on Facebook as Jessica Bellard. I am also on Facebook and Instagram as Bellard Financial, which is my financial group. And I am also there as First Look Medical Scrubs, my scrub company. And I am also on social media under Ascension Holistic Wellness Center, and that's my wellness center.
Ooh. Let's read some of these comments before we go out. Hold on. Let's see. We got Miss Tony. I love your tenacious spirit.
That's my sister. Hey,
we got
Tony.
Kwanda. Yes, I am so proud to call you my sister. Tony again says, thank you, beautiful. I appreciate your strength. Continue to stay strong and hold on to your faith. God is great. Love you, sis. We got a load of hearts coming in from Kwanda again. Load of hearts coming in. Look, my mother, Deborah, says your pain is not in vain. Your story has been a blessing. May God continue to protect, provide, and keep you and your precious family. Yes, Lord.
Mama, thank you.
Charles Spriggs, look, Pops say, I thank you for bravely sharing your story, testimony. Your honesty and vulnerability are truly appreciated. Look, Lord, look, we was touched. And like I said, I'm a real person. I'm going to reevaluate everything when I get up off of this live.
Yes.
Everything. And I'm a person that really loves gratitude and I'm going to reevaluate everything.
Yes. And take lots of pictures and lots of videos and everything. Yes.
Reevaluate everything. Again, we thank you. We going out with a song. And look, if you ever decide to come back for anything, we would love to have you back. I'm pretty sure you got more things you could share with us, more parts of how this goes, more about business, more about, we're going to have you back, trust me.
Thank you so much.
Thank you again. Look, we appreciate you one more time. And y'all, we are out with a song. And I hope, again, that y'all gain something from this, y'all. I love y'all.
I see y'all in a different way. It's more to y'all than posing pictures on your Facebook page. God giving power to uplift a man, to make a slave, speak life into our dreams, or tear us down and watch us fade away. Know your position, cause you're vital to the family structure. No replacing any mother. Careful how you treating love. Elegant, heaven sent etiquette is like no other. Her love is better than buttered biscuits right out the oven. Know who you are, don't let this world define. Shape or mold you, God's daughter, queen of nations. There's no box to ever hold you. Life creator, womb protector, heaven sent. Love injector, backbone, best gift ever. Worth more than hidden treasure. I speak life, cause this world is trying to turn you cold. Replace that heart of stone with flesh. We need your love to make us whole. Kick back your crown and hold us down. Together, we won't fold. Get back to love how God intended. Change to make this family
Even though this life is tough, said you gotta keep fighting. And even though it gets hard,